If you are a regular listener to this program, you know about Bob Alexander. Bob Alexander has the website voicesinourheads.com. Voicesinourheads.com. If you go to that website, you will find a library of all sorts of things, including the many and sundry contributions Bob Alexander has made to this program. I think going all the way back to Mike Malloy Radio Gumshoe from a decade ago, I think, or longer, maybe longer than that. But also at voicesinourheads.com, you will find many and sundry essays, moments, I call them, that Bob has written. I call them moments because when we first started doing this, I didn't know what to call it. So I called it, Let's Have a Moment with Bob. Hey, Mike. I sent you the original version of this on October 15th, 2016. It was titled Say Goodnight Gracie, Part 3. I happened to listen to it a couple of nights ago and realized if I changed a couple of words here and there, it was still applicable. Hillary Clinton as the zombie queen, presto changeo, and Joe Biden is the zombie king. The orange ape is always the orange ape. Now let me digress a moment. You can hear this original that Bob is talking about just by going to voicesinourheads.com. Back to the current moment. I couldn't make this a complete update because then I'd have to shoehorn in every god-awful thing the ape has done since consuming, yeah, I meant to say it that way, consuming the office of the presidency. Before the COVID-19 pandemic, I thought the worst thing the ape had done was to rip immigrant families apart and put their children into concentration camps. I still think that's the worst thing he has done. But sharing that first place position is how he, his administration, and Republicans everywhere have done their damnedest to ensure the COVID-19 pandemic infects and kills as many Americans as possible. I can't get into the details because that would derail this rewritten moment, and I just end up saying what I've been saying over and over and over again for the last 4 years. The orange ape, his handlers and minions, and Republicans everywhere are an effing death cult. And in 89 days, there's a slim chance that it's possible to begin to climb out of the abyss. But now, on to the rewrite. It appears that unless the universe has a couple of extra tricks up its sleeve, we're witnessing the last few months of President Ape. As of today, Thursday, August 6th, there are 89 days remaining until the election. Is it possible that the orange ape could do or say anything that could salvage his flailing campaign? Are there enough orange ape supporters in swing states to stop a Biden win? I don't think so. But then again, this is a presidential campaign the likes of which we have never seen. The American voters, Republicans and Democrats, have been played. Not like a violin, more like a kazoo. And the tune, eerily reminiscent of Pop Goes the Weasel, goes something like this. There is an orange monster with deplorable minions ruling the shining city upon a hill. This beast, who has lived his entire life in ostentatiously bestial ways, has been shown to not give a shit about how many of his citizens sicken and die from a raging plague. Surprise, surprise. Outraged citizens of the shining city were co-opted into choosing the previous vice president and former senator from MasterCard, the Zombie King, as their leader to battle the beast. And everything turned to crap. The end. But here's another tune I can't get out of my head. It didn't have to end this way. Click over to Google and type in Donald Trump Mafia, and in 5.3 seconds, you'll get about 759,000 articles. Then type in Trump University, and in 0.49 seconds, you'll get about 1,560,000 articles. Now, ask yourself this simple question. Why the hell didn't mainstream media repeatedly beat the ape like a gong with the sleazy facts about Orange Ape University starting the moment after he announced his candidacy on June 16th, 2015? If the nightly news team did their goddamn job in 2015, even the most diehard Orange Ape supporters might have jumped ship if they were shown how the Ape University was designed to fleece the poor rubes out of their food and rent money. Any idiot with an internet connection could cut and paste these Googled facts into a damning expose. So why the hell didn't the cavalry charge of Republican candidates and the media use this material to blast the ape into oblivion in the first few minutes of the first Republican primary debate years ago? The completely unsatisfying answer is because the Republican candidates and the media didn't. The media were making too much money from the eyeballs flocking to their television sets to watch the latest Orange Ape news. And the Republican candidates? Why didn't they unmask him? None of those assholes were qualified to be president, but shining a light on the ape's sordid inadequacies could expose their own. So they didn't fire the gun that might have blown their own feet off. That's my guess anyway. Who the hell knows what's lurking in the brains of a money-mad Republican lusting to live in the White House? But here we all are, 89 days away from the election, that the ape's lack of leadership in the face of a pandemic is the primary reason 4.83 million Americans are sick and 160,000 so far have died. But the ape's supporters, the racist, xenophobic, misogynist, science-hating morons, have been trained to vote for anyone as long as that candidate is a Republican. They will vote for the Orange Ape despite the ridiculously horrific things he has done and said. And then there are people who will vote for the ape because of the things he has done and said. Is this a winning combination? Maybe, maybe not. We wouldn't be discussing this if the Democratic donor class had not stolen the nomination from Bernie Sanders again. Sanders always had the poll numbers to crush the ape. But nothing was going to get in the way of the DNC and the Democratic donor class's quest for the White House. Nothing, including the will of the people. For the longest time, the focus of politics has shifted from what is right to who is right. There is no substance. There's only image. And right now, the ape's image is losing ground as the zombie king gains the advantage. Will this be enough to carry the former vice president and senator from MasterCard over the finish line? Maybe, maybe not. At this juncture, what does the television machine and the internet tell us? What do we know? We know the Orange Ape is a multiple bankrupted, unscrupulous, psychopathic, narcissistic shithead who used the presidency to enrich himself and the donor class, and that is the least of his crimes. 1,000 Americans die from the COVID-19 virus every goddamn day. Well over 50,000 Americans contract the virus every goddamn day. All because the Orange Ape and his rotten son-in-law initially thought the virus would primarily attack blue states. It was politically advantageous to kill off the people living in blue states so the ape could blame Democratic governors. So the government did nothing. The ape committed a crime against humanity because it was politically expedient. In comparison, the zombie king is a shining example, an absolute beacon of not being the orange ape. And for that reason alone, he has my vote. If all works well, the citizens of the shining city upon the hill will be saved from the beast. But the rot that continually eats away at the foundations of the shining city will not be stopped by a superficial change at the top. All that would have been accomplished by the Orange Ape versus the Zombie King contest is that the stage has been set for the next smarter demagogue. And everything turned to shit. The end. Regards, Bob. Hi, Truth Seekers. Mike Malloy here. As you know, we've switched formats and are now broadcast exclusively on the Progressive Voices Network. So that means you get fewer program interruptions, no corporate commercials, and lots of profanity. But our format change also means some of our radio listeners no longer hear the program. It's been a while since I mentioned our podcasts, so you may have forgotten that there is a way to listen to this program anytime you need a good dose of screaming. Visit MikeMalloy.com and subscribe to our podcast. You have your choice. You can listen to The Ranting with the audio podcast or listen and watch me lose control with a video podcast subscription. As a podcast subscriber, you can download the program to your mobile device and take me with you wherever you go. And if you have a friend who needs a dose of truth-seeking, you can give a gift subscription as well. That's MikeMalloy.com, and never miss a minute of the uncensored fun and frivolity.